Shalom, this is Adasabath Saiwan, returning with part 2 of this amazing study called The Beast of the Book of Revelation. And we're going to take a deeper look to have deeper revelations about these beasts and their Satans. So we'll start with a review, a refresher from part 1. Daniel saw two images that were one and the same, which coincided with the beast that Yochanan saw, and that is from the book of Revelation. What these two men witnessed were prophetic imagery depicting the Satans as spiritual manifestations, while at the same time physical manifestations of empires or kingdoms, the anti-Messiah, and the whore. These Satans have possessed these kingdoms throughout the ages, and they wield their evil, and I should say, wielded and will wield their evil powers to control, subdue, corrupt, and destroy nations, tongues, and peoples. So these were the main reasons why these empires were raised up, along with the coming anti-Messiah and the whore of Babylon, and not to mention the image of the final kingdom that will be erected and possessed by a Satan as well. And it is all to do with domination, control. They will be successful in bringing their plans together because Allah Hayam has allowed them to carry out their evil agendas, but with limitations. But their success will only be for a short while. Allah Hayam has given them the authority to carry out their evil agendas. I'm repeating myself, with limitations, of course. So let us recap the kingdoms and the kingdoms and their Satans, or the empires with their Satans. And we'll see who has been deposed and who are still reigning. First empire, we know, is the Babylonian Empire. It was dethroned by the Medes and Persian Empire, and their Satan was deposed. The Medes and Persian Empire was dethroned by the Greek Empire and replaced. The Medes and Persian Empire was dethroned and replaced by the Greek Empire. Their Satan was also deposed. The Greek Empire was dethroned and replaced by the Roman Empire, and the Greek Empire's Satan was deposed as well. So these Satans, although they're deposed, doesn't mean that they're destroyed. They're just moving on to the next agenda, the next mission, the next evil agenda, the next entity that they will raise up to control again. Because it is not sufficient to control a nation, they want to control the entire world. And it's not enough to control the entire world, but they want to control everything that you do, everything that you say, what you read, what you learn, what you know. Even your thoughts, they want to control. So this is a plan of these Satans, these evil, wicked demons, to control every aspect of our lives. So they have to raise up the systems the mechanisms by which to do these things. It's not sufficient to say, well, let me just go and bring fear to cause people to scramble around looking for answers, but they also bring the answer. And the answer is always linked with a measure of control over your life. Until they have all control of our lives. That's the plan. So the Roman Empire was not dethroned, but strategically it fell. I call it fall apart in order to be reformed into the Fifth Empire, the Roman Catholic Church. Now that Satan from the Roman Empire remained and was passed on to the Roman Catholic Church Empire. The Roman Catholic Church diminished, but only for now, as it is currently reforming itself. And this Satan will remain until its final phase. And we know what that final phase is. It is the Whore of Babylon. Empire number 6, the United Nations, is a spawn of the Roman Empire and currently ruling. Yes, it is. It has a Satan from one of the empires above, as they recycle themselves to fulfill their mission. And my thought is that Gadriel is the one that is possessing this kingdom. Now, I want to pause here to say that the Roman Empire, although Daniel saw 4 main empires, the 4th, which is the worst of them all, the Roman Empire, has been spawning and reforming itself. So it reformed itself and became the Whore of Babylon, but it still spawned other empires like the United Nations and the next 2 empires. And Gadriel, who is the Satan for the United Nations, now we see will be passed on to number 7, the New World Order, the NWO. It will be merged with the UN. Therefore, the Satan from the UN will rule through this empire. It will rule for 3.5 years until its empire is devastated and it is deposed but not destroyed as yet. So this empire will receive a massive blow that will shake it to its core. And that Satan will be deposed. Gadriel will be deposed, but not destroyed. The kingdom will not be destroyed as well. But it will go underground because that's what it knows best. So after 3.5 years of ruling on the earth, this kingdom will be devastated, but not destroyed. Goes underground and becomes the New World Order reformed. It is the same New World Order, but it's reformed because it is different in the sense that it was before an empire, as we will see later on, that focused on technology. That technology was devastated. So now it comes back as a different kind of empire because it no longer has the same Satan. He's deposed. And it also has a different agenda. When I say different, meaning that the technology that it used before to control the people, it has to reform that. It has to reform its agenda to continue the control and the destruction. So that's why it's different. It is the same empire, but it has a different strategy. It has to have a different strategy because its old strategy is destroyed. And we get deeper into that as we go on. So it will have another Satan called Azazel. And I spoke about Azazel in the previous lesson. And he's the one that is coming from the bottomless pit, Abaddon, or Abaddon, or Apollyon. That's the same demon. Now, I forgot to mention this in part 1, so I'll mention it here now. Azazel is mentioned in the Bible, in Deuteronomy. When the Most High gave Masha the instructions for the children of Israel to do the different sacrifices for sin, they had to have 2 goats. And one goat was called a scapegoat. And the scapegoat, they place their hands on the head of the scapegoat, and then someone will take it into the wilderness and release it. And that scapegoat, if you look up the Hebrew for that name, is called Azazel. And the words that were placed on the scapegoat's head is, all sins are to be attributed to Azazel. Attribute all sins to Azazel, the scapegoat, and then release it far away from the camp, and it will, roam in the wilderness, taking the sins away from the camp. So we know that this entity exists. Attribute all sins to Azazel. Okay, so what about the other 2 Satans, as we have a count of only 3 in the above empires, and I did that count before. The Roman Empire, that Satan moves into the Roman Catholic Church, that's 1. Then the United Nations merges with the New World Order, and that Satan, Gadriel, is number 2. Gadriel is deposed, Azazel takes over, but Gadriel is counted here for now. Azazel, he's still in the pit until Gadriel is deposed and the kingdom is devastated, and that's number 3. So what happened to the other 2 from the previous empires? Well, there are 2 entities that are due to come, and that is the anti-Messiah, who will be possessed with a Satan, and then the image of the beast empire will also be possessed by another Satan. So that will be a total of 5. Once Gadriel is deposed, all 4 will be ruling together. Gadriel will be helping, I guess, doing what he does best, waiting in the shadows, because he's the one that is going to be placed into the bottomless pit. The other 4 will be cast into the lake of fire. So the 4 will be cast in the lake of fire to destroy all their evil empires and entities. Gadriel, because he's not possessed, he has not possessed any entities, and he's the last to be cast into the lake of fire. And we see that in Revelation chapter 19, when Hamashiach does it. Actually, let me retract that. It is the Heavenly Father himself who's going to do it, because the angel is going to cast Gadriel into the bottomless pit. He's going to wait there for 1,000 years, then he's going to release. He's going to bring about his armies again. He's going to call them up to go against Hamashiach and his saints. Remember, Hamashiach comes down and he rules on the earth for 1,000 years with his people. And when this final Satan brings his armies to come against Hamashiach and the saints, it is the Heavenly Father himself that is going to destroy them once and for all and place this final Satan into the into the lake of fire. That's how it's going to play out in the end. Okay, so let's look at Revelation 12 again, at the red dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns. Revelation chapter 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as he was born. And there was war in heaven. Michael, and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought with his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So all of them came down at that time from the upper heavens into the 2nd heaven. That's where they have been dwelling until they've been cast out from there as well. And now they are roaming on the earth. And although it may not say Satan's, and yes, it's speaking of a dragon, even these Satans have a ruler over themselves. There are 5 Satans, and they will still have a general over them. And he's the one who encouraged them to follow and leave the worship of the Most High to worship him. It took only one, but the others left. All right. And they followed him. And this particular fight between Michael and his angels and Satan and his angels was after, if we go back to that scripture, it was after the Satan was trying to destroy the man-child who we know is Hamashiach. But there's a gap in there. There's a space of time, because we know that Hamashiach, he died and rose and went to be seated next to his Father on his throne. That was more than 2,000 years ago. So there's a time lapse between him rising up to take his place beside his Heavenly Father, our Heavenly Father, and this battle between Michael and Satan. It did not happen immediately after Hamashiach rose from the dead, rose from the grave. This is something that has recently happened. They were cast out from the heavens because the Father is cleaning house. He said, I don't want you coming before me anymore. You know your restrictions. You do what you need to do, and when I'm ready, I will deal with you. So they're not even permitted even in the second heavens anymore. And this happened only a few years ago. And if you want to pinpoint the exact time, when this whole lockdown thing began, slightly before that time, because they needed time to get their plans together. So I would say sometime around 2019, they were cast down. Once they were cast down, it could even be early 2020 as well. But they were cast down recently. And since they've been cast down, we have seen some of the most wicked, evil things happening on this earth that we've never witnessed before. And there's no one, no place to hide, one, and no one to bring an end to this or to correct all this wickedness that is happening. Okay, let me give you an example. The alphabet group that loves the rainbow. Look at the wickedness that is being spread on this earth regarding these creatures. It once was limited to, adults. Now, they're doing it to the children. They're introducing children to their evil ideas, their wicked ideas. And they're even going without the permission of parents to do certain things to other people's children. You go to school, you don't even know what they're teaching your children anymore. You don't know who's teaching your child anymore. Then they take the children to off the school premises without the permission of the parents. Back in the day, you couldn't take a child off the premises unless you have a permission slip that was signed by the parents, signed and dated. Now they can take the children off the premises to strip clubs, to watch the alphabet freaks do their nasty. And do you think parents have a recourse? Oh yeah, they can shout and scream and bellow, but there are no authority. There's no authority agency that you can report these people to anymore. Back in the day, just recently, about 10 years ago, you can report them to the police. You can get a lawyer. You can report them to the supervisors of the schools, whoever's in charge of the school system, the ministries. You can go to and speak to your local minister and see heads roll. But that was in the past. That is not happening today anymore. You can't even go to the police if someone breaks into your house. So imagine these people teaching your children garbage and taking them and showing them these wicked people. You can't do anything about it. That's why I say, Yashraal, take your children out of school. They don't need that education anymore anyway, because they're not teaching them anything. They're teaching about Jim and John, two fathers, or Mary and Eve, two mothers. They're not teaching them anything anymore, so why keep your children in school? Why keep them in the colleges and the universities? Because all they're doing is programming their brains. The Satans are here. All the fallen angels are here now. So the wickedness is through the roof. And all their people are in place. And there's no one to report these wicked people to, because they're the ones in charge. So what are you going to do? Take your children out of school. Take them out of the universities. This world is coming to an end very soon. Forget about this stupid pie in the sky. You don't want their money. You don't want their positions. You don't want anything, because to get a high position in this world today, you need to sell your soul. You sell your soul to gain the world, and then you lose it in the end. If you want to save your babies, take them out of the schools. Tell them to get into the work. Go grow some stuff. Teach them to go and grow food. You can live minimally. You got a big house, sell it. Go get a small little place. Make sure it has a little backyard that you can grow a few crops. And wait. Spend your time with the Father. Yes, I know he said occupy till he comes. But occupying doesn't mean you're going to get an education and your children get lost. They become lost from you and from him. We need to bear down now. This is time where we need to be so focused on him like never before. Forget about career. There will be no more careers any day soon. Any day now, they're going to tell you everyone is going to be a drone. Career? What career? You want a mortgage, you want a big house and all that. Forget about all those things. Those things are useless, because they're going to come and take it all away from you anyway. This world is spinning out of control. Out of our control, but it's still in the control of the Most High. The chaos is rampant. The darkness is gross. It's thick and heavy. And you can't pretend anymore that nothing is wrong. That's what I'm saying. Get your children out of schools. Get your head out of the heaven. Well, not the heavens. Forget about that pie in the sky. That's what I'm trying to say. Take your mind off the pie in the sky. You're looking, you want to have a nice big house and a nice fancy car and a good career, and all your kids in university, and they have their career. You know what? Those days are over. Yes, you may need to work, but work minimally and live minimally, but spend the greater amount of your time with the Most High. Your inheritance is at stake here. So these Satans have been cast down. And they've been down for a while now. That's why we're seeing everything happening overnight. All these evil agendas being passed overnight. The turnover is so quick. They don't even need to go before the Senate to pass laws anymore. They just sign a piece of paper and say it's passed. Regardless of if anyone in their Senate agrees or not, they don't care. It's passed. Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and this is Yochanan. He's having a vision again. And saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns. Now the previous dragon, the great red dragon, had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns for the 7 heads. And as we move on, we will see why they're different. And upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. And I have that highlighted and I underlined because we saw these very same animals in Daniel chapter 7. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power. Who is this dragon? That's the Satan. That is Satan. It is not the same dragon from above. They're different Satans. So that Satan that was in Revelation 12 is the Roman Empire that came after the man-child, which we looked at in the previous lesson. So the Satan that possessed the Roman Empire was passed on to what? The Roman Catholic Church. So it's not the same Satan. But it is the same machine, but reformed. Remember, the Roman Empire spawned itself. It reformed and it spawned. And that's why it has the very same elements of the 3 empires before it. The leopard, which we know speaks of the Greek Empire. The bear, we know, speaks of the Medes and Persian Empire. And the lion speaks of the Babylonian Empire. And the dragon gave him his power, Satan gave him his power and his seat and great authority. This is going to be the ultimate empire to rule the earth like never before, because it's comprised of all the wicked elements of previous empires before it. Verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Now, some people, when we carry on to the other slides, we're going to read Revelation chapter 17 and Revelation chapter 18, and it speaks of the whore of Babylon, which sits upon 7 hills. Sorry, he said that yes, she sits upon 7 hills, but they also say that the 7 heads are 7 mountains. All right. Some people have concluded that there is only one country that sits on 7 hills, and that's Italy. And they've concluded that the Vatican is the whore of Babylon because of this description. And that's absolutely correct. It is absolutely correct. However, the 7 heads, the 7 mountains, or the 7 hills have a deeper significance. They have deeper significance than just location, geography. That's just like a, drop in the bucket there. Because if it was just geography and it was actually just a mountain, how can you wound a mountain to death? It said that one of its heads were wounded to death. And the deadly wound was healed. So can you kill a mountain and can you heal a mountain? No, it has to be something else. Because the heads and the horns and the crowns have the same significance throughout these scriptures, whether Revelation chapter 12, 13, or 17, or possibly 18. I get the two confused. So when you hear about the horns, we know they're talking about kings. We know heads. Well, we're going to get into that, and I'm going to show you what I'm saying. And we know we will look at what crowns mean. So it has to be something more than just a geography, a place, a mountain, an actual mountain or a hill. It has to be something more than that because there's death involved. And later on, we're going to see what killed it. It was a sword. And sword speaks of war. So, can anyone kill a mountain with war? No, it has to be something else. That's why when we read, we have to read with Ruach HaKodesh to give us the interpretation and the revelation. Otherwise, just glazing over it and say, well, it's just a location and that's where the whore of Babylon lives, so it has to be this, it has to be the Vatican. There's much more involved. There's depth to this evil. And not that we want to give any credence to their or credit to their evilness, but we need to be informed so we know what we're dealing with. Well, let's read on, and as we go on, we're going to see how all of this comes together, and then we will have the understanding. So the whole world now wondered after the beast because the deadly wound was healed. Verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? And the beast here they're speaking of is the beast that comes out of the sea, that comes out of peoples and nations and multitudes. Okay? And the people are in awe because the deadly wound of the head was healed. So people were absolutely in awe. And they wondered who can make war against this beast because it could heal itself. It has the power to heal itself. Verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. That's why I said the New World Order is only going to last for 42 months. This is the New World Order that we're speaking of right now. The beast that rises up out of the sea to control the whole world. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Allah to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And that's what the sea represents. The power to control the whole world. Verse 11. And before I move on to verse 11, let me say this. I said from before, all these things that are taking place, all of it is to bring destruction to the saints of Al-Hayam. Satan wants to wipe us out. But also allow me to say this. The New World Order will not rise up until sometime, a short while after we have left the earth, the southern kingdom. The righteous remnant of the southern kingdom, when they leave, then the New World Order will rise up. That's why it hasn't happened yet. They keep talking about it. The next lesson that I'm going to do, not the one after this, is the timeline of the last 7 years. And I will show you from the prophecies of Daniel and even in the book of Revelation, how this all comes together. The last 7 years. So, going on to verse 11, we drop down from 7 to 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast, which is the New World Order, before him. So the empire needs a king now, a physical king. All these empires that were before them had a physical king. Babylon had Nebuchadnezzar. The Medes and Persian, they had their own king, Ahasuerus, Xerxes. Don't know which ones, but one of those. The Greek Empire had Alexander the Great. Roman Empire, we know we had Antiochus and Titus. All right? These empires need physical kings. So now this is the physical king that will come and rule with the New World Order. So he exercised all the power of the first beast before him and caused the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, which we know is the NWO, whose deadly wound was healed. So he's identifying which beast it is he's speaking about. Verse 13, and he, meaning the fake lamb, the anti-Messiah, because that's what this lamb is portraying to us. Who is our lamb? HaMashiach. So he is our Messiah. And this one, who speaks as a dragon, but looks like a lamb, is the anti-Messiah. So this is the king that will come and rule with the empire. And he does, verse 13, and he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So he mesmerized people with magic, with his little tricks. Verse 14, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, in the sight of his empire, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the empire, the beast, the NWO, which had a wound by the sword and did live. He had a wound, he died, and it was brought back to life. So something happened, a war occurred to affect gravely one of the heads. And we're going to see what that head is. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Satan has no power to give life. So what happened to this beast, the image of the beast? It became possessed with a Satan. So we see three entities here with three Satans working hand in hand together to bring people under its power and control. Now the great red dragon in Revelation chapter 12 had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns for the 7 heads. We know that the great red dragon is spiritually symbolic of a Satan, while the physical manifestation was that of the Roman Empire, King Herod included. In Revelation chapter 13, Yochanan saw a beast rise up out of the sea. This beast is spiritually symbolic of a Satan, and I would dare say Gadriel, because he will possess the New World Order empire, while its physical manifestation is the New World Order, the NWO empire number 7. The sea that it rises out of is symbolic of multitudes, peoples, and nations which the NWO will have control over. It will be the ultimate worldwide empire made up of all the attributes of all the great empires before it. That's what makes it so absolutely wicked. It will move as fast as a leopard, which is the Greek Empire, being able to implement all of its evil plans and agendas overnight. And we're seeing this happening already. So it is going to happen, and it will happen. It's already started. And its great power will grow overnight. It will gain all control over peoples, nations, and multitudes just as fast. Do you remember what happened for the last 3 years? Especially in 2020, 2021? You see how people were able to be divided against their own family and friends because of what? Not wearing a mask? That's the power of this empire. How fast it can do things. Everything that it will do will be done quickly because it knows that it only has 3.5 years to do its worst damage to the world and to the people in it. Its primary purpose will be to seek out Yashrael and to prevent us from being regathered. Speaking of we're talking about the northern kingdom here, because once the NWO is established, it will seek out the 9.5 tribes. The southern kingdom will already have been regathered and taken. To prevent the northern kingdom from being regathered, as it knows that the clock for its reign will begin to tick-tock, tick-tock. It will be able to stamp to death or do great injury to anyone that stands in its way, including our people. It will use great strength to restrain, physically control, and subdue the masses. And this is the feat, or these are the feet of the bear, the Medes and Persian Empire. It will have the power to speak blasphemous things against Ha-Olayewan, who is the highest. It will be able to persuade the nations to submit and comply to its agendas through fear and terror tactics. Remember what I said about the mask? Remember the 6 feet apart. Do you remember them saying you can't hug your own family members, friends, can't even shake their hands, you can't visit them? This is the power of their mouth. They're able to persuade through fear tactics. It will also subdue using the power of its words by way of spells and evil mantras. Remember all the mantras that they had us quoting? Well, not me, because I knew what they were. We're in this together. Stay 6 feet apart. All these were mantras, spells that they were using to cast over the people. And this is the mouth of the lion, the Babylonian Empire, that the dragon, Satan, has given his power, his seat, and great authority. And this is the NWO in a nutshell. It's a dangerous, dangerous, evil empire. Now, I said to you that Gadriel is the one who is going to possess this empire. Let's look at the book of Hanawak again, chapter 69, verse 6. And the third chief of those fallen angels was named Gadriel. It is he who showed the children of men all the blows of death. And he led astray Hawath, who is Eve, according to the written word in the Bible. But that's not her correct name. It is Hawath. And showed the weapons of death to the sons of men. What do you think those weapons were? Same weapons that they're developing right now. There's nothing new under the sun. All this technology that you see today has been around before. The shield and the coat of mail and the sword for battle and all the weapons of death to the children of men. So if he created the sword and the bows and arrow, what other weapons could he have developed? That's what I'm saying to you. This demon, this devil, his focus is on technology. His focus is on technology. Weaponry of mass destruction. And from his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and forevermore. Gadriel liked weapons of war and weapons of death. What we're witnessing in the world today as the NWO empire is soon rising up to take its place in this world is an increase of weaponry to do severe death and damage to men. This empire is focused solely on technology to carry out its destructive deeds, but it will only be for a short while. The crowns for the heads or horns give authority for the appendages, which are the heads or horns of the empire, to work. So when the crowns are on the heads, those heads are given the authority to carry out their work, their agendas with great success. When the crowns are on the horns, which are the kings, rulers, they're going to be able to carry out their agendas with great success. But to understand how this authority is shifted and why, we have to know what the heads and horns symbolize. In Revelation 18, We are told what they represent. We will return to this chapter in the next slide. Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. And here's the mind which has wisdom. So in other words, you can't figure this thing out with your own logic. You can't figure it out by looking up a word, breaking down a word. You need wisdom. And true wisdom comes from where? On high. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. That was the verse that I was quoting. I said 7 hills, 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And this is the part where people say, well, that means that this is speaking of the Vatican, because we know the location of the Vatican is where 7 mountains are, or 7 hills. And I said that is correct because it is the Vatican that is the whore. Not just the Vatican, but the entire, everything that the Vatican is involved in, the papacy, the Holy See, and the Roman Catholic Church, all of them are part together. They're all together as this whore. So I said that yes, that is correct. You have the location correct. But the mountains are more significant than that. Because a mountain, a literal mountain, cannot die. A sword, war cannot destroy a mountain, and the mountain cannot come back to life. Verse 10, and there are 7 kings. So he's saying here that these 7 heads are also twofold in its nature. 7 kings, but these kings are speaking of kingdoms. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. So let's recap. There are 7 kings, 7 kingdoms. 5 have been dethroned, deposed, so to speak. But we know that the 4th, although it fell apart, it went underground to spawn and to reform itself. Reformed and then spawned. Well, it spawned and then reformed, sorry. And that one is, who is the one that is? The one that is the one that is currently ruling, which is the 6th Empire, the UN. The other is not yet come, which is the NWO. And when he comes, he must continue a short space, which we know is 3.5 years. Verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7th and goes into perdition. So the beast that he's speaking of here is the empire that was, which is the Roman Empire, and is not, because it reformed itself, went underground, but he now has become the 8th. And he is also of the 7th. So he's identifying that the new world order, which is the 7th, will return to be the 8th and final empire. But it will go into perdition. Now, some people have come to believe that the 7 heads, which are called mountains in this verse, are showing the location of the whore. This is partly correct, but it does not just stop there, because the heads have a deeper significance. They are, in fact, systems. world systems, systems that affect the world, that aid the empire in its plans to be world dominating. Now, these systems have been around since the time of the Roman Empire. As we can see in Revelation 12, the great red dragon with the 7 heads. So, what are these systems? They are not literal mountains, as we can see in Revelation 13, that one of the heads was wounded unto death, and we are told how it was wounded unto death. It was by a sword, which is symbolic for war. Therefore, the heads are not literal mountains, but systems. And one of the systems will be devastated by war. This will be done intentionally by the Satans. So here are the systems, which we will discuss more in part 3. Now we have the economic system. So what are they doing as we speak? They're damaging and destroying the economies around the world because they want to have one economy. One. Same thing with government. They want to have one government. Financial, money system. Because they want to have one financial system. They want to have one kind of money. It's called digital currency. 4, military system. They need to have control over the masses. So they're going to have one military to control the world. Isn't that what the previous empires had? When you look at the Babylonian Empire, they had their own military that controlled the world. Same thing with the Medes and Persia. They're not going to allow each country or each province, because the world is going to be divided into 10 provinces, to have their own army. No, it's going to be one army to serve all 10 provinces, because the 10 provinces will have one king or one ruler, which we know will be the horns. 5, educational system. That's a no-brainer. Look at what they're teaching the children in schools, to be drones. To think together as one. You can't have your own personal idea anymore. You can't have your own opinion anymore. 6, media and communication system. That's been around for a very long time. Don't think that this is something modern. And 7, commercial trade system. They're going to bring everything under one heading for each system. Each system will control the world. And the things that are in the world, and the people that are in the world, the industries. Everything will be under control. And this is what these people have been doing to bring about the ultimate control. They couldn't do it 20 years ago because the technology was not in place. They had to do it when the technology was in place and the right people were in place. Their people and the other people that live on this earth were indoctrinated enough to believe their lies. That's why I say, get your children out of school. I don't care. They're not going to be any dumber than they would be. In fact, they'd be smarter than if they were in school, because they're teaching your children to be dummies. They're not teaching them 1 plus 1 anymore equals 2. That's not happening anymore. 1 plus 1 equals 11. Or whatever number the majority of the people in the class says it is. Because they're creating a beehive mentality. You can't have an independent thought anymore. You will become like a Borg. These systems affect every aspect of our lives in this world. These systems were developed to make us dependent on the empire to sustain us and our livelihood. This is how nations, peoples, and multitudes were brought under control by these beast systems. This was intentional, and power and authority was given to these systems in the form of crowns, meaning that Ha'olah Yawan has allowed them, or had allowed them, or have allowed them to function and carry out their evil plans, even from way back in the Roman Empire. These same 7 systems were in place. And they were given the crowns until the crowns will switch. The first time these crowns appeared was in the Roman Empire, and the heads or the systems were implemented and used powerfully since then until now. This is what they've been using to mold us. Telling us you need to go and get an education so you can go and get a job and have a career and get yourself a mortgage and do this and do that. They've been molding us to be dependent on them. So that when you say to people now, you know what, you need to give up your house, you need to give up your car, you need to give up your job, your education, they can't do it. They can't do it. People can't do it. They can't give up those things anymore. Because to them, all those things that they work hard for is life. It means that they've been successful and they've done something with their lives. And to give it up means that they've failed. And they don't want to see themselves as failures. But that's a lie from the pit of hell. And this is the lie that the mouth like a lion has been speaking for generations. If I know now, if I knew then what I know now, my life would have been different. I would have made a whole lot of different choices because I too went after that slice of a pie in the sky. And if I had known then what I knew, if I knew then what I know now, there are many things that I would not have done. Many, many, many things that I would not have done. And then there are even more things that I would have done. But hindsight has perfect vision, they say. Once the heads have fulfilled all of their evil agendas, the beast empire, which is the NWO, will rise. Then the crowns will switch to the horns, which are the 10 kings, who will be rulers over the 10 territories that will govern the entire world. These 10 kings will reign with the power of the dragon, Satan. The rise of the beast out of the earth will happen not too long after the rise of the NWO, because it will need a king. This beast is described to have 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like the dragon. This beast coming from the earth is showing us that it will be of flesh nature, pretending to be like our lamb, who is our Messiah, Mashiach. But in fact, it will be the anti-Messiah. It will be a man that will be possessed by a Satan. Hence, it will be called the man of sin or perdition, Satan incarnate. Also, this anti-Messiah or false prophet will have the power of Satan to do miracles and will rule the NWO like a king. So many people confuse the false prophet to be a separate entity from the anti-Messiah, when in fact they're one and the same. They're one and the same. He's never called the anti-Messiah in the book of Revelation. He's called the false prophet. So the anti-Messiah and the false prophet, they are one and the same. It will cause the earth to worship the NWO and cause them to make an image of this empire. This image, which we will later find out to be that of a dragon, oh yes it is, will be possessed by another Satan so that it can speak. So next we have the beast with the whore of Babylon. So we're going to take a look at that now. Revelation chapter 17, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. Sounds familiar? Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns, no crowns. So all authority now is taken away from this beast. Its systems are not going to have the power that it used to have. And its horns, which are the kings, are not going to have the power that they used to have. It is still functioning, but it is going to be very difficult to wield its evil power like it used to. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahawasha'o. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Let me pause there, because the beast, the empire, has lost its authority. It has lost its dominion. Now it is implementing another system, for lack of better word, to help it along. And it is the whore of Babylon. And this is the rising of empire number 5, which was once empire number 5, the Roman Catholic Church, that has reformed herself into this woman, this whore. This is how this system now is going to control the world, using this woman. And this woman is symbolic of something which we will speak of in a minute. All right? We will speak of what she symbolizes in a minute. Verse 7. And the angel said unto me, wherefore do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, the empire that carried her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns, and no authority. Verse 8. The beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. So here's the beast. This is not an empire. This is speaking of a Satan. Only the Satans were put in the bottomless pit, not the empires. So the Satan that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. So he's telling us who this Satan is. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here's one mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is not yet to come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7th, and goes into perdition. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receives power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And that beast is Satan. So remember, the dominion of this empire was taken away. Why? Because it was devastated. Remember I said that? The number 7 empire, which is the NWO, was devastated. And Gadriel, who is the Satan from that one, he left. And this empire kind of went underground to reform itself until the next Satan arises to take possession. That's the one that came out of the bottomless pit that we call Azazel. And because this empire, the original empire, the NWO, it had fallen apart. The kings had lost their territories. They have lost their kingdom. So when they came back now under Azazel, they're still kings, but they don't have any territories, right? They have no kingdoms because the Most High did this. They have no authority over the world anymore. The systems, they're not functioning like they used to before. So their only hope is to use this whore, to carry the whore for as long as they could possibly carry her for, to help bring the world back under their control, using this whore. And that's why they give their power and their strength unto the beast, the Satan. They're dependent now on the Satan to help them to bring this back under their control. And of course, the Satan wants it because he wants the glory. He wants the worship. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Adawan O Adonayam, which is Master of Masters. We do not say Lord of Lords. He is Adawan, meaning Master of Masters. Wa Malak O Malakayam, King of Kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which you saw, where the whore sits, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So whenever you see the word sea or waters, it speaks of the world, the people in the world, the nations, the multitudes, the peoples. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim has put in their hearts to fulfill his will. So as much as they're dependent on the whore, they're carrying the whore because they're dependent on the whore to bring dominion back to them. But they will hate her because the Most High has put that in their hearts to do his will, to fulfill his will, which is to make her desolate and burn her with fire. They're going to destroy her. And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the word of Elohim shall be fulfilled. See, the Most High still has control. Verse 18. And the woman which you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. So that's why I'm saying the Roman Catholic Church, when it reforms itself, it will become a great city. Right now, it is kind of hovering in the background and pulling strings here and there and doing their little things here and there. They have great power, but we can't see it. Great power. This beast is given a peculiar description like that of the great red dragon. I'm talking about the scarlet colored beast in Revelation chapter 17 verse 3. And as we read on, it has the same attributes as the other beasts, empires, in Revelation 12 and 13, except it lacks crowns because it has lost its authority. Yet it will exist for now. Therefore, we know that this beast empire is also a Satan ruling through a physical empire, and it is the NWO reformed. But why is this particular Satan so peculiar that Yawachanan gave it this description? The beast that you saw was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Now this is giving us a clue as to which Satan that this will be, none other than Azazel, who will be released from his abyss. The scriptures use the word beast interchangeably when speaking about Hashatan or the beast empire. So it's important for us to receive the interpretation and the revelation from Ruach HaKodesh because we can be led astray from the truth. Revelation chapter 9 verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name called in Haobarai tongue is Abadawan, or Abaddon, meaning destruction, but in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon. So let us look at the whore of Babylon. We have discussed earlier that the empire number 5, the Roman Catholic Church, will reform itself to be this whore. And yes, it is a city, and yes, it sits on 7 hills or 7 mountains in Italy. The Reformed Catholic Church will be comprised of the Vatican and the Holy See. It will be a pagan religious city, the center for its one world religion. And yet, it will have its tentacles in the trades and commerce of the world. The head that was wounded unto death by war will be the economic system. Nothing destroys an economy of a nation or an empire faster like a war. And this is something that they will do. And this will be intentional so that a new economic system will be established affecting the other heads, especially the trades and commerce of the world, redirecting all trades and commerce to this city. This wounding unto death will also serve to bring people unto complete submission of the NWO, as people will wander after this empire, asking who is able to make war against it. You destroy the economy, you literally will be yanking the rug from beneath a person, causing them to fall. But it's not enough. It was wounded unto death, but they quickly revived it because they had a plan. They have a plan, and the plan is to redirect all trades and commerce to the whore. And we know this is a fact because when she starts to burn, the merchants and the captains and all the different wealthy rich people that sold their goods to her, they were crying. Who's going to buy our material? Who's going to buy our goods? Who's going to buy our merchandise? We know this is going to happen. They start wailing when they saw her smoke from afar off. The whore, which is the pagan religious city, will sit on the empire because the NWO will have to carry it and tolerate it for a while until it turns on her, on it, to destroy it. It will be Al-Hayam who will cause this to occur. Now, let's look over again at Revelation 17:16. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these will hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For Al-Hayam has put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, the Satan, until the word of Al-Hayam shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city, which reigns over the kings of the earth, the rulers of the earth. She had power over the whole earth, even the kings of the earth. And the system carried it, the empire carried her. I tried to be cryptic as possible because, because of the algorithm of this platform. The NWO, reformed, will be carrying this whore. Revelation 18 verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is your judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore. So all trades, all merchandise were funneled through this city. Now, I'm speaking in the past thing here because she's been destroyed, but it will be funneled through this city. Verse 12, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thyine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beast and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Even people. They're going to trade people again. Slaves. And the fruits that your soul lust after are departed from you. This is verse 14. And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, because that's the end of their business. They had an arrangement with this whore, and it's finished. No one's gonna buy their stuff anymore. It's over. The city is destroyed. That whore is destroyed. That Satan is cast into the lake of fire, by the way. Because the Father is shutting it down now. Dismantling them brick by brick. Verse 19. We drop down to verse 19. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships by the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. She's been destroyed. And I've said this before, and I'll prove it to you about the destruction, the devastation of the NWO, number 7, because it was an empire of technology and it was devastated. The technology was wiped out. And if you realize that everything that we use today uses technology, so what do you think is going to happen? People have to go back to doing the things that they used to do. Riding on horses, donkey carts, ships, no more airplanes. None more of that technology that we used to have. Machine guns, all those assault rifles, all those different, no more. They're all done. All destroyed and all done. Back to bows and arrows, spears and javelins, riding horses and ships. We see that the Whore of Babylon was the city to go to sell merchandise, and where a merchant can become very wealthy if they traded with her. Great wealth will flow to her and through to the beast empire upon which she sits. And this is the purpose for the NWO reformed, to sustain this pagan religious city. At Al-Hayyam's command, they will turn on her. At Al-Hayyam's command, they will turn on her to destroy her. They exist now to do his will, as they no longer have any more authority, hence no more crowns. Yet they will also lament because their wealth is now cut off forever. This will be the beginning of the systematic destruction of the beast empire and their Satan forever, starting with the whore. So let us return to Azazel, who will be the king over the NWO reformed empire number 8. Revelation chapter 9 verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name, called in Ha-Obarai tongue, is Abaddon, meaning destruction, but in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon. Revelation chapter 17 verse 8. The beast that you saw was and is not, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. We know the name of this king of the bottomless pit is the same as the beast that was and is not, which came from the bottomless pit. And that is none other than Azazel. He was, because of what he did back in the day before the flood, he was placed in the abyss and is not. Because he is not the same as the present time Satan that ruled the 7th empire, which we know is Gadriel. This is to help us to differentiate the Satan so that we will see a changeover of the kingship. Remember from a previous slide that Azazel taught men how to destroy one another through the use of weapons, which he taught them how to make. He is a destructive Satan, hence the title Abaddon. This 5th Satan, Azazel, will take over the once reigning NWO, the 7th empire, the empire of technology, which will be devastated, and its reigning Satan will be deposed, which is Gadriel, for now. When Azazel takes over, it will not be numbered as the 7th empire, but now the 8th, the NWO reformed, or the reformed NWO. When Azazel is deposed, he will be sent to perdition, which is the lake of fire. And how do we know all of this? Go back to Revelation chapter 17, verse 8. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And we also see in the if you drop down to Revelation 17 verse 9, he is of the seventh, and of the seventh, sorry, that's the wrong verse. Sorry. That's speaking of the empire. Azazel, the fifth Satan, will be released from his prison, but the people on the earth will wonder and will be in awe at the beast empire, which has a similar description as Azazel. So he is the beast that was and is not and yet is, because he's coming back. And his empire has a similar description. If you drop down to Revelation 17 verse 9, and the beast empire that was and is not, even he is the eighth empire and is of the seventh empire and goes into perdition. So they all go into perdition. So let me go back to the scripture that I was looking for. Verse 17, Revelation 17 verse 8. The beast that you saw was and is not and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and then he will go into perdition. So that scripture shows us that at the ending of his reign, that's exactly where the Father is going to cast him, into the bottomless pit. The Satans and demons are all spirits which our eyes cannot behold unless Ha'olah Yawan allows us to see into the spiritual realm. Therefore, this beast that the people of the earth will behold is a physical entity, hence an empire. So the fact that the people on the earth can see and behold the beast that was and is not and yet is speaking of a physical empire. So Revelation 17 verse 8 is speaking of a physical empire. Just like Revelation 17 verse 9 is speaking of a physical empire. When we go back to Revelation 17 verse 8, it's speaking of Azazel. And the clue is right there. He's ascending out of the bottomless pit. So let's return to where we were before. So which empire? It will be the last empire the NWO reformed. Its predecessor, the technology empire, will receive a massive blow that will dismantle it and render all of its technology useless and worthless. It will cause the NWO number 7 to be powerless and without a Satan, as he will be deposed at this time. Yet his empire is not destroyed, just waiting for its new king. Hence the description was and is not and yet is. It is there, but it's not functioning. It's reforming itself. The devastation of the seventh empire was so great that when it was restored, it caused the people to be in awe. And note, it will be the condemned people too. Those people whose names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, they're the ones that are going to serve this empire and be in awe of it. Now, before we go on, I want to explain to you why this technology empire or empire of technology will be devastated. Because when we reach the seal number 6, there's going to be a worldwide earthquake. And it will destroy all of technology. And that will be the ending of the age of technology on this earth forever. And I will look in detail at this either in the next lesson, in the next part 3 of this lesson. Let us learn more about this final attempt of this Roman Empire to rule the world. Again, Revelation 17 verse 9, again, we're looking at this. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and there are 7 kings 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. That's 3.5 years. Because at the ending of the 3.5 years, the earthquake, that devastating earthquake, will come and devastate it. Verse 11. And the beast empire that was and is not, even he is the 8th empire, and is of the 7th empire, and goes into perdition. All right. We have discussed the dual significance of the 7 heads in this verse, which is to help us to see that on one hand, there are 7 physical systems of the NWO, which are the 7 mountains. And on the other hand, they are spiritual, to reveal to us the connection between the Satans and the 8 empires as kingdoms. There are 8, but technically 7, because the last one is the same empire, but it's reformed. Let me go back to this. Now, there's something that is missing here, but we're going to skip this. They're all going to work together, but before they are destroyed, they're going to bring about much destruction on the earth. And this is the role of the NWO, number 7, and when it's reformed, to bring about much destruction on the earth. Now, this is the time for Azazel to be the puppet master, reigning in the 8th empire, but not for long, the last empire. And during his reign, he will put to death the 2 witnesses. Revelation 11, verse 7. And when they, the 2 witnesses, shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and kill them. You see how it all ties together? Now is the time to put these critical pieces of Revelations in perspective in order to understand what Yawachanan is saying to us through prophetic imagery. So let us recap the empires. Now there are 4 main beast systems, or rather empires, that have been around since the dawn of time. So let us take a look at these empires. We have the Babylonian Empire, which was the head of gold and a lion with a man's heart. You have the Medes, the second one, the Medes and Persian Empire. You have the breast or chest and arms of silver, and that is the bear. They have the Greek, number 3, empire, belly and thighs of brass, and that is the leopard. And these all have reoccurred in the NWO, number 7 empire, in Revelation chapter 13, starting from verse 1. Now, the number 4 empire, the Roman Empire, the worst of them all, was a beast with no description, and it spawned the next 4 empires. It had the legs of iron and nondescript animal. The 5th empire, which is the Roman Catholic Church, was a worldwide empire, although nothing like its predecessors, because its focus was on religion. It used religion to control, to subdue, and to destroy. And that's why when it reformed itself, it will become the whore of Babylon, a city where all trade and commerce will be funneled through. This is the feet and toes of iron and clay, and it's currently reforming, and it's the offspring of the Roman Empire. It's a direct connection to the Roman Empire. That's why it's of iron, because the Roman Empire is of iron, and this is showing you This is a direct connection to the Roman Empire. Then we go down to number 6 empire. The United Nations, also called the UN, abbreviated. It is currently ruling with worldwide dominance. Are we going to look a little bit more at this entity in the next lesson? Because when I did my research, I was blown away. This entity has its tentacles in every agency there is on this earth. In fact, I should rephrase that. Every agency that controls every aspect of our lives is either a part of them or created by them or affiliated with them. At the end of the day, they're all part of the UN. Communications, even mail, tourism, migration, all these different things, they're all part of the UN. The major agencies that control these industries are owned by the UN. Owned by them. The WHO, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, all of them. And if you doubt that this isn't an empire, I don't know what else to tell you to convince you that it is. It may not look like the previous empires, but they're certainly doing a very good job at controlling us. And it is an offspring of the Roman Empire. It's a spawn. It is ruthless. Number 7, the New World Order, also referred to as the NWO abbreviated, primarily an empire of technology comprised of the 3 animals above, speaking of the lion, the leopard, and the bear. This is what they had planned all along. Every time they conquered their own empire, they were rebuilding and perfecting. And now we have the last one, which is the same as the previous one, the NWO, but it's reformed because its technology was devastated. And now it's back to how the first empires reigned. Bows and arrows, ships, bringing the merchandise. And this is what the Heavenly Father is going to do. Don't let technology scare you. Don't let them talking about nukes and them planning on using nukes to destroy this country or destroy this place. Don't let them scare you, because they're all speaking with the mouth of the lion. A lying lion's mouth to bring fear so that they can control you. That's how they're controlling the world, through fear. These empires are so demonic and evil and wicked. But the good news is that the Father is going to level the playing field. Like right now, they're using all kinds of surveillance, all kinds of technology to spy upon us and to control. These smart cities that they're bringing up so that they can have a better handle on you, to control even where you walk. You can't walk farther than 15 minutes anymore when you get into those cities. And that's the plan, to control even where you walk, where you want to drive. You can't go for a long drive anymore. This is their plan. And these smart cities are going to be heavily watched. You're going to have surveillance everywhere. And then they're going to they're going to bring in the credit system. It's all part of it. Don't get scared. Don't be afraid. They don't have the ultimate control. The great and wonderful thing is they can't really bring all these things into to play. They can't bring the fullness of what their agenda is until after the Southern Kingdom is gone. And that's why they're hemming and hawing, threatening, making rumors of wars, threatening. Because they know their hands are tied. They can't do anything. The NWO cannot rise up until we leave. They're ready to go ahead and do their evilness. But the Most High is like, you don't have the control. I'm getting my people ready. And He's given us ample amount of time to get our act together. To repent of our sins. So that we can be accounted worthy when He is ready to regather us. It is not sufficient to say that I'm a Hebrew Israelite. It's not sufficient. You don't want to be left behind. Because when you're left behind and you realize all the mistakes that you've made and you repent of your sins, the only way out of this world is through death. Because you're not going to be able to find a place to hide, basically. With all the technology that they're going to have on this earth, and the technology is going to run for 3.5 years after we leave. After we're gone, this world is going to carry on for 3.5 years with technology. So they're going to have surveillance to the hilt. They're going to have drones flying everywhere. Using heat sensors, they'll be able to find you and kill you. They don't even need to send a man behind you. They'll send a machine, and he's just going to shoot you from above. That's what I'm saying. Get your act together now so that we can get out. The Northern Kingdom, they're the ones going into the second Exodus. But they got to go through a lot before they get there. They got to go through 3.5 years plus of persecution. And don't think that any of the Southern Kingdom that decided to worship the Most High, to think that they can join the Northern Kingdom in the wilderness, that will never happen. It's 2 separate regatherings. He's not mixing and mingling us anymore until Hamashiach returns to the earth with the Southern Kingdom, and He puts the 2 kingdoms together in His hand. It's going to be a time of Jacob's trouble, He said. And that little horn, by the way, the little horn in Daniel Ya'al, chapter 2, I believe, is the false prophet that will war against the saints and prevail. Who are the saints that he's going to war against? If it's the anti-Messiah, then it will have to be the northern kingdom. The new world order, when it rises up, it too will come after the northern kingdom, and they will prevail against them and win. They have to go through some terror, and they have to go through some deep waters. They got to go through some serious troubles, just like we've been going through for thousands of years. Our time is almost up. And that's why I will keep saying to you, get your act together, get your house in order. You do not want to be here on this earth. There's nothing on this earth that is worth losing your life over. Especially knowing that the Father has the best waiting for us. You have to work hard to make money so that you can buy food, pay your rent or pay your mortgage, car payments, buy gas, transportation. When we go into our kingdom, we don't have to work hard. We don't even have to work. And all the things that we need and want will be given to us for free. And it will be ours. I would much prefer that than to try to get one of these houses that will be destroyed in earthquakes. All the earthquakes that are coming. All the plagues that are coming. A house is not going to stand. Not even the underground bunkers are going to stand because the earthquake is going to destroy them too. So again, I'm saying and I'm asking, is it worth it? You gain the whole world, but you lose your soul. It's not worth it. We're the chosen seed. We're the chosen ones of Allahayam. And he has the best waiting for us. When our forefathers went into the promised land, they couldn't believe their eyes. The grapes were so big, it took grown men, 2 grown men, to carry a bunch of grapes. The pomegranates and all the different fruits and things, they didn't have to build houses or villages or cities. It was all done. They just went in and took over. And the Father went before them and drove out the ones that were there, the giants. Well, we don't have to war anymore where we're going. Our days of warring are over. Even in the end times wars, there's no war. Even when we come with Hamashiach on white horses, there's no war. Because he's going to open his mouth and this light from his mouth, that's like a laser beam, but it's his power, his glory, that will cut them down. We don't have to raise a sword. We don't have to do anything. We just got to watch. He's going to do it against the anti-Messiah, the beast, and the dragon, the NWO and the dragon. And we're going to see that in part 3, how he's going to destroy them. And then once that final Satan is raised up, the Father himself is going to destroy him and his armies. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to lift a sword. So again, I'm asking you, is it worth it? holding on to these things in this world that we call Babylon. And Babylon is a system, a religious system. Is it worth it? You gain the whole world, but you lose your soul. You end up in hell, in the lake of fire with all the devils and demons. Would you want to spend eternity with these devils? And don't think you could have a friend there. There's no friendship of any kind there. Even if a husband and a wife went to the lake of fire, they're going to be enemies to each other. There are no friendships. There's no shelter. There's no water. There's no freshness. It's all smelling of they call it brimstone. And brimstone stinks. Along with the rotten flesh. Death is going to be there. The grave is going to be there. All these Satans and the demons and the devils and the Nephilim spirits, the fallen angels, the giants, which are the Nephilim, by the way, all going to be there. Along with all the different wicked people that are running this world, the agents of Satan, they're all going to be there. Your worst enemy is going to be there. Would you want to spend the rest of your eternity, rest of your life, which is eternity, in the place where you will never see a blue sky, taste water, but you just can't die? You will never be able to die, and you will always be pursued. There's no place to hide in the lake of fire. And the same ruthless way these devils rule on this earth, they're going to be even worse in the lake of fire. Do you know why? Because they have no more restraints. So they can do whatever they please. And because they have the power and us little humans have nothing. All right. There's no match. None whatsoever. You can't say, well, we can form an army and fight. No. Everyone will hate everyone. There's no love there. Nothing good is there. It's not a place that was created for us. So I don't know why people want to go there. That is a mystery. So I will call this the ending of part 2. That's my little rant for the day. And I will end with the blessing on Yashra'al from Debarayam chapter 6, verse 24 to 26. Ya Barakak Yahweh wa ya Shamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yahanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yasham lak shalawat. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And I say, Shalom, Shalom, all praises to the Most High. Abba Yah. Stay tuned for part 3.